I don't know why I'm so nervous to start. Like, I'm even having a hard time catching my breath because I'm so nervous. And I shouldn't be this nervous because this is not my first podcast. This is not my first podcast episode. And I've been on camera and I've been on stage. Like, this is not my first time being in front of an audience, but I just feel really nervous. I went to the bathroom right before this and I was sitting there thinking, not like taking a shit, just going pee. But I was just thinking, sitting there thinking, what am I going to say to start off the episode? Like, so many people have a customary greeting, and I don't know what mine's going to be. The only thing I could think of is Count Olaf from A Series of Unfortunate Events when the orphans and Mr. Poe come into his home for the first time, and he's like, hello, hello, hello. I am your beloved, Count Olaf. But like, am I supposed to say that? Because no, I'm not Count Olaf. Who am I? Let's find out, I guess. I guess I'll put like a little theme here. Hi, my name is Amanda, and honestly, I'm just trying my best. This is my podcast where I talk about whatever I want to talk about because I'm still kind of figuring it out, and I think that's okay. If you want to tune in and come along for the ride, I'd love to have you. You are now listening to Semi-Mindful Banter. Let me set the atmosphere for you. Let me set the mood. I'm sitting in my room. It is very messy in my room, but I mean, the cluttered space doesn't affect my cluttered mind. Yeah. I am bargaining with my dog to be calm and not get into shit, which she's doing right now. But I feel like that's going to be common with a lot of my podcast episodes, is that like my dog's going to be here and I'm going to be bargaining with her to not get into shit. Josie, can you please not get into shit? Anyways, her name is Josie. She is a Yorkie Poo, which is a Yorkshire Terrier and a poodle. She is constantly barking, but I've chalked it down to the fact that she's just really protective and she loves me. She loves us. She loves everybody. I haven't actually formally introduced myself yet. I'm Amanda. I am 28 years old. I just turned 28 a few days ago. Well, it's April 6th today, and my birthday is March 24th. So I don't want to do the math. It's probably been like a couple of weeks. So I've been 28 for a couple of weeks now, and I live in Canada, in Ontario, in like a small little, I call it like halfway a small city. Like it's not a town. It's bigger than a town, but it's not like a city like Toronto. So I'd say it's like a small city. That's my like ASL. Like, is that what we used to say? Age, sex, location. Age 28, sex female, and location. Not telling you. Just somewhere in Ontario. Near the middle-ish, I think. Like middle in terms of like length. I don't know where in terms of length. No, width. Okay. I'm an Aries sun, a Gemini moon, and a Scorpio rising. For anyone that knows anything about any of that stuff, that's my astrological placements, by the way. I am eternally confused. I'm always struggling to stay consistent with anything I do because I, for some reason, can't stay stable with anything, especially when it comes to like my online presence and my career, which usually revolves around having some sort of online presence. And so that is very frustrating. I'm very easily frustrated. Even just recording this podcast episode, I found myself getting frustrated because things weren't going perfectly. And that is obviously something that I need to work on in myself. But half of my podcast will be me telling you why I'm not perfect. So I hope you're ready for that. I think a lot of my frustration can be chalked down to the fact that I have bipolar disorder type 2 and borderline personality disorder. Like, it's not, I don't know. They said I have traits and I have like all the traits. So I just said, yeah, I got it. Can the mental health like diagnosis police not come at me, please? So I've gone to post-secondary school 3 times. And if you don't know what post-secondary school is, it's college or university. And I just call it post secondary because I've been to university and college, and it's a lot easier to just lump them together and say post secondary. I've gone 3 times. Each time I went was for a smaller period than the last time before. That wasn't grammatically correct. And that shouldn't happen because I was an English major my first time around when I went to university. And I was there for like, I got into halfway into my 3rd year, but I was really struggling in that first semester. So does it really count? I was studying English literature because I wanted to be a teacher. So I was also taking an education program. And I was going to teach, like, I think I wanted to teach high school. I don't know why I felt like that would be a good career for me because now that I've learned who I am, that is not the vibe. The second time I went to school, I went to college. And I think honestly, I just picked this because I felt like I needed to pick something. I needed to go back and do something. The thing was, I had this really significant event happen in my 3rd year of school, which is why I stopped. And it made me question everything. And I wanted to come back to something. So I went to college for child and youth care, which is also not the vibe for me. It's just, it's not that it's bad. Like, I'm not saying child and youth care workers shouldn't exist. I'm saying I'm not supposed to be one. And I learned that very quickly through my placement. This is also where I learned that I'm not supposed to be a teacher. Not the vibe. Can that not be my thing? Thanks. That second time I went to school, I think I went for like 2 years. No, a year and a bit. No, I don't know, maybe a year and a half. And then the third time I went to school was also to a college, but I literally only went for 2 weeks and it was during COVID. So it was online completely. And I feel like it didn't really count because I don't think I even went to a class. I don't know. I must have. Like I must have gone to some sort of video meeting because I couldn't have just dropped out based on nothing. Huh? Yeah. So that was my school experience. I don't know why I feel like that needs to be a disclaimer for me, but it is now. Some of the things I'm really interested in talking about are pop culture, especially the period of 2000 to 2015. Like, give me all that juice. Um, that's because I was born in 1996, so that is like was a prime time for me. What am I hearing outside? It is like a UFO. If that is what your car sounds like, get it fixed, please. I like talking about spirituality. Kind of like I like astrology. I like tarot cards. I read tarot cards. If you ever want a tarot reading, hit me up because I will totally give you one. I totally do tarot readings. I'm having a hard time thinking of what else I like when it comes to spirituality. Oh, I like crystals. I feel like these are really basic things, and that's disappointing. Not like I'm trying to be edgy or anything, but it's just what's wrong with being basic? I'm changing that. Nothing's wrong with being basic. I'm basic, and that is okay. That is a okay. I like talking about mental health, especially because I have mental health issues. So I like to advocate for it. And I like to have discussions about like why people do the things they do, like the psychology of humans and how humans work and operate, and why humans, like, yeah, why humans do that shit. I also want to have more like philosophical and educational and thoughtful and open minded conversations, especially about stigmatized topics like mental health and spirituality. I really like reality TV. Yep, I do. When it comes to movies and TV shows and books and stuff that I like to consume in terms of media, I like the occasional self help stuff. It has to be interesting. Maybe a tinge of spirituality. I like thriller stuff sometimes. I like the psychological thriller stuff that's gonna like really bend my mind. One movie I watched recently, not too recently, but recent enough, that I really liked was The Butterfly Effect. If that gives you any idea of the kind of movies I'm talking about, Donnie Darko too was pretty good, but I liked The Butterfly Effect more. Totally made me sob, and that's awesome. I also like cute like animated movies, but it can't be too like too, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is that's not offensive. It just can't be too like childish, I guess. Like we watched The Secret Life of Pets, and that was really good. I also like comedies. I like romantic comedies. Like my favorite movies are romantic comedies. My favorite actress was Brittany Murphy when she was alive. I like Uptown Girls and I like Little Black Book and some other like rom-coms that I like. Oh God, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna sit here and list all the rom-coms I like. Anyways, I'm moving on. Maybe with a little bit of horror here and there. When it comes to books, you know what I really like? My favorite book is called Dark Places. It's by Gillian Flynn. It's amazing. She wrote Gone Girl, and I really like Gone Girl too. The movie's good. Kind of gets a little dry in the last, like in the third quarter. I like good writing and good storytelling, and Dark Places is both of that. So that is just me in terms of media. I do have a life coaching certification for life purpose to talk to people about what they want their life purpose to be. When I was doing that, I kind of just helped people brainstorm what the options were and open their mind to new options because I'm really good at like coming up with that and coming up with solutions and tried to push them there, kind of prompting people to find out what they want to do with their lives. Something I'm really like into for some reason is organization, especially digital organization. When you look at my life, you wouldn't think that because I am not really organized at all, but it's just something that I've always aspired to be. I've always aspired to be like really organized. And that's funny because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I aspire to be an astronaut." Maybe that's a little ambitious. Or I aspire to be a teacher. I aspire to be nicer. I aspire to be this, that. I aspire to have my whole life organized as fuck. And I just want to have everything organized. And I want to go on my computer and have everything organized into a category and a folder and named perfectly, alphabetically. Everything just mwah, chef's kiss. I feel like I'm constantly going through some sort of transformation, but honestly, I feel like that's kind of universal to all humans who are interested in self development. Because I didn't mention that I'm interested in self development, but I think you could guess from like mental health and life coaching and stuff like that. But I am always transforming in some way, even if the transformation is really small. And you'll find out about me too through this podcast that I'm very word vomity. I love to tell stories of my life and I will not tell stories of my life. Like who, but I say that as if someone's like coming to stop me, like someone's run into my room right now and is like, you can't tell stories about your life, you can't tell stories about your fucking life. I love that in my notes I'm so organized that for this next little area I have just my trauma written and some notes. That my trauma. I'm laughing because the room is in the nastiness. Sounds like my trauma. I am very aware of the trauma that has happened to me in my life. It overlaps my childhood and my young adulthood. I'm used to bringing it up right away in every single conversation. I'm trying to not do that. It affects me in a major way, but it's more like my trauma impacts my mental health, and that interferes with me living my life sometimes. I don't really know what to say about my trauma. Like, I don't want to get into it because, like I said, I'm trying this thing where I'm not trying to bring it up right away in every single conversation because I used to do that when I was recovering from it. I guess I'm always recovering from trauma, but when I was right in the midst of big trauma work, I'd right away say, like, "Hi, I'm Amanda, and blah, 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 my trauma." And I feel like that's very abrasive and very overwhelming sometimes. So, yeah, that was a mistake I made. But if you know me in real life, don't talk to me about it because I'm just going to be filled with shame. That sounds really bad, but I get so shameful about things that, like, I'm not good with criticism. That's a flaw of mine. I get very shameful because I just feel like I totally hate myself whenever I make a mistake. I am on disability support, like in terms of a job, like that's how I get money. So I have a lot of time at home to think. It's not like a lot of support. Don't think that I'm like rolling in the cash because it's very little and it's not enough. Um, but I'm grateful that I am able to have support as it is. And my goal is to turn all this time I have into productive time because I have a lot of time to think and I have a lot of time to just sit and stew on things. And I don't think it helps my disability. But I've tried to go to jobs and I've like tried to work at jobs. And the thing is, I just end up getting really overwhelmed. So I don't know what kind of disability that is, but I don't know if that's just like human condition, but maybe I'm just a pussy. But I end up getting really overwhelmed and I end up getting really panicked and I end up just totally shutting down in terms of my mental health. With my bipolar disorder, it's really hard to do something consistent like that. That's why I said right at the beginning of this podcast, I struggle with consistency. I think a lot of that has to do with bipolar because I'm constantly going through mood cycles. And when I'm not up, I'm down. So, yeah, I want to spend more of my time reading, writing, creating, learning, etc., etc. But the honest truth is that I do spend most of my time playing video games and consuming reality TV. And I try to have productive like projects. Like I'm making a neighborhood in The Sims 4 from scratch, but is that something that's going to get me anywhere? No, it's just something that's fun to do and I'm going to have the neighborhood full of my own NPCs and townies. Like that's awesome. Anyways, my trauma kind of threw a wrench in the life that I was planning to live. Emphasis on planning because like Khloe Kardashian always says this. She's always like, when you make plans, God laughs. I don't know why she's British, but she always says when you make plans, God laughs. So I guess we're going with Khloe that when you make plans, God laughs because the plans are faded and they are past faded. And if I hadn't had the trauma throw a wrench in my plans, I wouldn't be in the life I'm in now. Like at this point, I'm living with freedom because I'm on disability support. So I have freedom on my time to create and do whatever I want and kind of figure out what I want to do. I'm living with my partner and his lovely mother, and we're raising the most amazing puppy who is also the most sassiest puppy. She's not a puppy anymore. I don't know. It's debatable. People will argue on whether she's still a puppy or not. I like to argue half the time, half and half, because sometimes she's a puppy, sometimes she's not. Depends on when it benefits me. At many times in my life, I've been on a really bad track, but I think I have found a good path because it seems to be the most stable so far, based out of everywhere I've been. I guess I could say that I've spent a lot of years riding in cars with boys. Why do I think I'm like the funniest person alive? Yeah, I don't do that anymore. And I'm stable and I'm living with my partner and I have really bad mental health days, but it's better than being in the mental health ward and being in some of the places that I've been, right? I feel like my trauma causes me to carry around a lot of past versions of myself. I kind of see it like a snake shedding its skin over and over. But then it's kind of like the skin just doesn't leave and just kind of stays attached. So I'm dragging around all these past versions of myself that I don't really know what to do with. And I don't know how to let go of those versions. So I don't know if I need to let go of those past versions of myself. Maybe if I didn't feel so much shame about some of the people that I've been, I wouldn't feel the need to let go of all this, or it wouldn't be so heavy, you know? Why did I decide to start a podcast and what will it be about? I've honestly tried a million different things, like a million. It is extremely frustrating. I didn't really go into my whole career thing. I talked about how I've been to school 3 times, and that should tell you enough because I've also, oh God, what have I done? I've done waitressing. I've done driving a van, like for school. I've tried working as a barista at Starbucks. I have tried writing, like just doing writing. I've tried doing captioning work, babysitting. Everyone does babysitting. You know, I've tried it all. I've actually done podcasting a few times before. I had two shows before this. One was like, both I think are really lame, but I can't laugh at past versions of myself because at one point that version of me thought that I was really cool. So I just got to celebrate that, I guess. The original podcast was the Bad Bitch Diaries, I think. And the second podcast was the Happy Soul podcast, I think. So I feel like it was both were very different vibes. The first one was very unorganized. It was during like right at the beginning of COVID. I had no idea what to do with myself. So I decided to make a podcast. And it just was word vomit all the time. And then with the Happy Soul podcast, it was a little more direction oriented, if that's the word, directed. And I had a little more focus, but it's not like the true me. Like I am not all zen and self development all the time. I can't do that. I can't pretend that I am because I'm definitely not. I wanted to incorporate more stuff that I like to talk about. Like I love talking about pop culture, or at least listening to podcasts about pop culture. And they say what you listen to is like what you want to talk about ultimately and what you should be doing. So I listen to a lot of podcasts about like pop culture and stuff like that. So I want to incorporate that into my content. And I wanted to talk about all the stuff I want to talk about, like philosophy and mental health and spirituality and psychology and just how people work and pretending that life is like a video game. Because I also forgot to mention that I really like video games. I did mention it at some point, but I really like video games. And the thing that interests me about video games is the fact that maybe all those little humans in those video games actually are real. We're going to sit with that one because that could be a whole episode I go into. Oh, Lord. Anyways, I'm famous for wanting to switch things up and try something new. The Happy Soul podcast, I had like a good number of episodes. I think like 12 episodes. I did a whole season. And then I said I was going to come back with the second season, and I just never did. So I guess you could say this is the second season of the Happy Soul podcast or the third season of the Bad Bitch Diaries. Let's be real. I just figured a podcast would be fun. It's something, again, like at the beginning of COVID, it's something to do, but this time I have like a lot more seriousness behind it. Like I actually have like a little bit of a better mic. And I'm not just recording with my phone, and I have a real editing program, and I'm actually editing my podcast. At least I can document my thoughts while I try and figure out what I want to do with my life. And maybe some people will get entertained from what I have to say. I think I have a lot of different interests, like I've discussed, and I don't really know where I want to go with this podcast. So we're just going to figure it out as we go. I figured I'd call it semi-mindful banter because sometimes I'm mindful about what I say. I feel like I say a lot of things and then retroactively say things, and if that even makes sense. See, that's the thing. Like I just did it. I say something and then I'm like, no, I don't know if that makes any sense. And that's really annoying. So hopefully the goal with this podcast is that I'm going to stop doing that. The last thing I have to say is that I am imperfect AF. I am super messy, super, super messy. Not in terms of like I'm a slob and I'm the no, like I shower. But I'm always like all over the place. And I just feel like I'm so wanting everything to be so controlled, but I want to control everything so bad that it just falls apart. And I just feel like everything slips through my fingers. Oh my God, what is with the accents? Who is this woman? I keep rolling my eyes at myself. I feel like a camera. I I'm done. Anyways, that is it for this episode, the first episode of the Semi-Mindful Banter. I think I am getting a little delusional, and I am becoming a little less mindful and becoming a lot more bantery. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this first episode. I hope you enjoy this podcast. I hope it becomes a thing. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, I hope it becomes the next big podcast of like the world. That would be nice. I feel like that'd be a lot of pressure. But I hope like people like it, and I can, when I say I hope it becomes a thing, I say I hope I can continue to make it a thing. Because I do have episodes planned. I have 2 episodes planned after this, like the full outline written. So I feel like I'm really excited for those. Should I sneak peek? No, I'm not going to sneak peek just in case I change my mind. So I think that's smart of me. If you know me, you know that's smart of me. Yeah, that's it from me. I love you if you've listened to this podcast. I know we're taking it to the next level already, but that's okay. We can be close. No, you hang up first. Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to Semi-Mindful Banter. This podcast was created and produced by me, Amanda Doyle, and our theme music will be linked in the show notes. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.